Last summer and winter, I couldn't even button this jacket up. I swear to you, it was not possible to close the buttons on this jacket. In fact, most of my jackets wouldn't close. About the only one that did were ones that I always swam in. Well, now, I'm just swimming in it. Look at this. I'm down to the bottom notch on my belt, and my jeans are like pleated all the way around. I can't wait to get on a scale and find out how much weight I lost. And I'm running to exercise the puppy. I'm running freely and comfortably and happily. I'm bending and twisting and jumping and climbing. I'm doing all these fit things I used to do before I got sick. There is life after sickness. There is life in older age. I mean, I'm 55 years old, but that doesn't mean that I have to be. Being 55 does change your fitness. It changes how you approach your fitness. But you also have the experience and wisdom to make those changes. It's nothing to be afraid of, and it's nothing to hide from. And certainly you shouldn't be so lazy as to think it doesn't matter. I expect to have, in point of fact, another 53 years ahead of me, 53.5 years ahead of me on this planet, which is almost as long as I've lived. That's a lot of time to spend in a wheelchair, don't you think? Or walking with a little walker with an oxygen tank pulled behind me? Awful long time. Now some of you folks may think, well, that's fine, I'll have an excuse to sit Netflix and chill, and people will come bring me snacks and I'll be chill. I'll have one of them really comfy chairs and I'll just lay back and cackle and make fun of the young'uns. It doesn't work that way. The young'uns are rarely there, especially in this culture where we do two things that reduce the availability of children. We have fewer of them, and we teach them to think of themselves, appropriate finger, as more important than anyone else. We're teaching each other that. We think we're giving messages of support, and we're actually teaching each other to be selfish. I'm not kidding. Think about it. And you want to know who's promoting that movement of be good to yourself, and has been all along? It's been the corporations. The corporations used to be the factory owners. Back when socialism was born, and before that, they were the king. Okay? These people with immense power and wealth get it by sucking off of our energy. They are literal vampires. It's not blood they suck, it's energy. It's your labor. So one of the ways, the way they're doing it these days is by psychological manipulation and manipulation of the media content that you access. They have the ability to manipulate, not necessarily control or own, public education, public offices, public policies, public licenses. Almost all broadcast media and print media and media in general, the vast majority of it, if I had to give a percentage, it would be up in the high 90s for sure, probably in decimal points. These guys own almost all of it. And when something gets big enough to matter, they buy it, you see. So the almost part is the stuff that doesn't have enough voice to be heard. So these guys are out there manipulating you. And they're telling you to be selfish. They're giving you messages of rebellion and antisocial behavior and anti-generational behavior. And they've been doing this now for over 50 years. Exactly how long they've been doing it is an interesting question, but the ability to broadcast to entire nations, let alone the entire globe, is not very old, right? They used to have to go town by town. Now they can just sit in a really nice office in a really fancy city and do it all on the internet. Of course, they like to show up in person. It fits their ego. Gotta hold court. All right, well, I'm enjoying this lovely rest stop so much. So much. It's in northern Ontario, somewhere past Ottawa. I'm really bad at keeping track of locations. It was so funny sitting in Quebec and my brain just ticked over because I was thinking about that I need to make this a separate by itself video. I was sitting in through Quebec. Every time I had to pick up fuel, I had to ask them what city name it was, and it took me a long time to figure out how to ask the question. But it was funny, even without people really talking to me much. I just was practicing so much that my innate French, what I did know, was coming up, and I had circumstances in which to use it. So that gave me phrases to reach for. So I started out with ville, qu'est-ce que, ville est, like this, and eventually came up with qu'est-ce que nom de ville ici? And that immediately got the answer I needed. Then, of course, I couldn't understand them. For instance, there was a place pronounced spelled C-A-N-C-O-U-N. Now, I hear Cancun. He said, Cancun. I couldn't. He said it very fast, very how do you explain it? All of the consonants and vowels were flattened out so that they sounded a lot alike. And he had to spell it for me. C-A-N-O-U-N. I says, oh, Cancun. The Cancun. And he corrected my pronunciation. And I know I'm not getting it right. If I was, I wouldn't understand it myself. But it sounded more like catch a coup than anything. Or catch coup. Or catch a... It seemed to have 3 or 4 syllables all muted. I loved Quebec. I really did. But I do have a few rants. The place names. Come on, Quebec. You can't have noticed the hyphenation overload. It must cost a fortune to print all those place names. Saint Anne de la Croix sur la Mer. And then another one, like Philippe, La Rivière, de Loup, de la Fromage, d'Étoile, Notre-Dame-la-Mer. I mean, really. I'm making this stuff up. But just get on the Google Maps. It won't take long. A lot of it's in the Gaspé Peninsula. But oh my goodness, the Quebecers are proud of themselves and their places for good reason. They take good care of their stuff. They've got some really beautiful old houses that look as good as new. They've got, whenever they update or renovate, they put in a little style. They don't just go efficient. They put in some style. I got a feeling it costs them less than it would in Saskatchewan as well, because a lot more people are into that. So there'd be the craftspeople would be much more familiar with the style that's getting injected. All in all, I was just delighted, absolutely delighted. I liked it. I walked around smiling at people like I do in Saskatoon, like I learned in Saskatchewan. But when I did it in Ontario, stone faces or crazy faces. Crazy face isn't crazy. It's, are you crazy? That's crazy face, okay? And I know that look. I know that look. I get that look a lot. I mean, I wear a jester's cap to bed. So yeah. Oh, and I'm transferring files on my computer, so I got time to talk. So yeah, in Quebec, they all, bonjour, bonjour, comment ça va? Well, actually, I never heard comment ça va, but I did hear salut. So anyway, mostly it was just bonjour, bonjour. They knew right away I was Anglais. Well, actually, no. Sometimes I had to tell them I was English. I had to be able to say, je suis Anglais. And then what was the désolé, désolé, je suis Anglais. Je ne parle pas français. C'est dommage. and they smiled broadly and broke out their best English or their child French. It was beautiful. And with their child French and my Sesame Street French, we were actually getting places. Good enough, you know. The numbers. I want to study my French numbers. I want to learn to say them. I want to go back to Quebec and practice my French again. I'd like to do it in a bus. Mind you, this outfit's pretty cute. It's just got a few flaws I got to correct. Alright, I'm going to close this video and I'm going to send it up independently as soon as I get to internet. Like when I get home. I'm not even trying until then.